Kara Kamalavari Nakha Bhuta Singha Dalita Jaya Narasimha Dev Jaya Narasimha Dev Jaya Narasimha Dev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Narasimha Jai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Swami Maharaj ki
All glory to you, all glory to you, all glory to you, so thank you very much for coming. Om Jnana Niran Tasya Niranjana Samakaya. The microphone seems too loud or something. Satyamritam being Tasmai Yudhaya Sri Devam Namano Krishtam Bhavatam Deva Bhutale Vande Vam Shri Guru Shri Guru Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Guru Shastra Sahagana Tam Sukham Sadhaitam Sadhaitam Krishna Devam Vidha Krishna Padam Sahagana Vadika Vidha Krishna Hey Krishna Bhagavan Manmohan Bhaktate O Krishna Om Bhakata Radha Murti Bhakta Bhagavani Radhe Vrindavan Krishna Vede Vaishnavyo Jayaadvaita Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. The sound is about 80% signal and 20% feedback, and that's rather 5% feedback. That's how it sounds, right?
Yeah, but if it's too much lower, then we can't hear it.
Then you can't feel it. This is for the weekends. I'll maybe that stage myself. Hare Krishna. Krishna The word for COVID, the word for COVID, I just say everyone come close. Why don't we do that? Just come close. Come close. Can you hear well enough?
It is bigger.
Is that all right?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
It is. I think it's a lot better. Okay.
We'll get them off.
if you can't hear me, then just signal and I'll speak back. Is that all right? And I assume you've done your cell phone check, that all the cell phones are in silent mode. I have no faith.
Sounds still deep in.
Okay. So the Yatra is coming up, and the Jagannath Katha is going on in the morning. We've done the experiment already, we've tried our best, and now it's over.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
It's much better.
Much better.
So what were we doing with that foolish thing?
I think this is also better now. We change the frequency.
Let's try with this. I see. The coronavirus infected me.
And there was boom.
Yeah, one boom and now it's.
Big difference, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. I've killed men for less. So in the Bhagavad Gita, asatyam apradishtante jagadavranishana aparasara samputam kimanyana kamave. I'm reminded of one conversation, and Srila Prabhupada was arguing with some scientist or atheist or someone he was speaking to, that there must be God. And Prabhupada was giving his reasons. And the person said, yes, but why must Krishna be God? And Prabhupada said, that we'll talk about later. Krishna may or may not be God. But my point is that there must be God. You're not even on the point of accepting that there's God. So why should we talk about who God is? It may be Krishna, it may be someone else. But the first point is that there must be God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Satyam Apratishtamte, Jagadavranishana. Those who are out and out beings deny that there's any kind of Jagannath. Satyam Apratishtamte. Then how do you explain the world? If there's no God, where does the world come? Oh, the world's just a dream. Asatya. It has no real existence. It's just a dream. When we wake up from the dream, we'll see that you were just sleeping. Apratishta. And so it has no basis in anything higher. Jagadavu. Anish. They say that the world is going on without any superior control. It's just going on. Matter is so wonderful. Matter is so intelligent. Matter is so full of such mysteries that it just goes on its own. No need of any God. To the proverb quoted the Bengali proverb. What is that? Shakuni. The meaning is that the Shakuni, the vulture, Shaka, Goda, Godu, Shakamuni, he's cursing the cow to die. The vulture is cursing the cow to die. Because the vulture is circling around and nothing is dying. So he's cursing the cow, die, die, die. But it's not that because the Shakuni is cursing that the cow has to die. So similarly, the materialists, oh, there's no God, God is dead. But that doesn't mean that by their cursing, God has to disappear from the scene. But this is their propaganda. Jagadahur Anisha. There's no God in control. Aparasta is something, everything that comes about by the pushes and pulls of different atomic elements. There's nothing else but a lust behind everything. Man and woman create children. The world is going on this way. Elements are attracted to one another in a kind of prebiotic heat. Let's see what it's about. The demonic conclude that the world is phantasmagoria. That, what is that? Give me a moment. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. The Brahman is real, and everything else is just an illusion. Their slogans. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. But if Brahma is Satya, why should the world be Mithya? If Brahma is Satya, then the world is also real. It's just not what we think it is. It's real because it's Krishna's energy. What's false, just like a rope, they gave the example of mistaking a rope for a snake. So in the same way, we're thinking the world is real. But if I mistake a rope for a snake, it must be that there's a real snake and a real rope. Now, the mistake is that I'm thinking that the rope is a snake. But that doesn't mean there's no rope or there's no snake. So I'm thinking that this world is my property, that I can enjoy it. That's false. But the world itself is not false, it's just temporary. But they say the world is phantasmagoria. There's no cause and effect, no controller, no purpose. Everything is unreal. There was a Beatles song like that. Nothing is real. Some of their other songs did better. I think George was. Nothing is real. They say that the cosmic manifestation arises due to chance material actions and reactions. This is all rubbish. That the world comes about by chance. We've heard this. It's taught in school. That means avidyalaya. They're teaching all rubbish. This was explained to me by, I was also, well, the laws of chance, but Sadhaputta Prabhu, who's a mathematician who did his postgraduate work in probabilistic matters, explained to me that chance doesn't cause anything. Chance does not cause anything. When we talk about laws of chance, we're describing something that's happened in terms of statistics and so on. Chance doesn't cause anything. And I'll give you an example. Here in America, what's the percentage of divorce? Close to 50%, right? So what are the chances that a couple will get divorced? 50-50, right? 50-50 chance that a couple will get divorced. Who here knows someone who's been divorced? Yeah, you're all living in America, so you know someone. So either America or Bombay. So 50-50. How many of you know someone who's gotten divorced because the laws of chance, because of the laws of chance? No. How many got divorced to comply with some statistical probability? No one. It's either, she was terrible to him, or he was terrible to her, or they couldn't understand one another. Money wasn't good anymore. She was getting old. He had something going on the side. This or that or the other thing. There are reasons. There may be bad reasons, that's another thing, but there are reasons. Not that just by the laws of chance. Well, in New Jersey, it was only running 47%, they needed another 3%. So the laws of chance descended upon this unfortunate, unsuspecting couple. The laws of chance don't cause anything. In Google, when you open your weather app and it says that there's an 80% chance of rain today, it's not that the rain is going to fall or not fall because of what the statistical probabilities are. It's all about warm fronts and cold fronts and clouds and that sort of thing. So chance causes nothing. It has no causal power whatsoever. It's not about causation. It's a description of what happens. So they're bluffing. They're lying. They're misrepresenting science and teaching that yes, the universe comes about by chance. It could have been this way or it could have been that way, but the laws of chance made our universe come into being. All this rubbish. And heaven forbid, or somebody forbid, that statistics forbid that we suggest that God created the universe. It has to be by chance or some other such rubbish. That's their theory. They do not think the world was created by God for a certain purpose. They have their own theory that the world has come about in its own way, and there's no reason to believe that there's God behind it. For them, there's no difference between spirit and matter. And they do not accept the Supreme Spirit. They don't know what spirit is. For them, matter is everything. Consciousness is just a byproduct of matter. And that's a bluff too, because you can say that on a superficial level, that yes, we know that consciousness comes about from interactions of various blah, 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 blah. But if you actually have to write it out, if you actually have to explain step by step in a fair scientific manner how this happens, you can't do it. You can't do it. No one has done it. It's just talk. Consciousness comes from matter. It's a theory, it's a notion, it's an idea, it's not science, it's not demonstrated, there's no process discovered by which this happens. It's just, really, it's a level of superstition. And yet they're putting this across as fact. This is what science tells us. And pity the poor believers who think that there's some sort of God behind it. So this is described in Bhagavad Gita as demonic. For them, everything is matter only, and the whole cosmos is supposed to be a mass of ignorance. According to them, everything is void. These are all everything's void, or everything's just ignorance, or nothing's real. And whatever manifestation exists is due to our ignorance in perception. Another such theory. It's really nothing here. It's just our ignorance that makes it seem to be here. Or rubbish. The wall only seems to be here due to my ignorance and perception, and so I can just walk through it. They take it for granted that all manifestations of diversity, all manifestation of diversity is a display of ignorance. Just as in a dream, we may create so many things which actually have no existence. Then when you're awake, you'll see that everything is simply a dream. But factually, although the demons say that life is a dream, they're very expert in enjoying the dream. It's all illusion, but let's enjoy it. And so instead of acquiring knowledge, they become more and more implicated in their dreamland. They conclude that as a child is simply the result of sexual intercourse between man and woman. This world was born without any soul. I was on a late night radio program hosted by a nasty little man, actually. He was, this is late night. He came into this skyscraper, all the lights around. You go up to the 20th to the 50th floor, and the little red light is on because they're on the air. And then we entered the studio, and the gentleman was cordial, welcoming us. I was a brahmachari at that time. It was one of our sannyasi godbrothers. So his opening line was, "Your Holiness, what exactly is it that makes you so holy?" And he was full of little put downs, and he was expert because there were 5 devotees there. So as soon as one devotee would engage in sort of a winning argument, he would switch over to another devotee. And he said he was quite good at it. And so what we decided to do was walk off his show. After the first break, we just walked out on it. And he was left there with like an hour and a half to fill. And so he was, late night radio in New York, late night radio. So as we were leaving the building, through the dark, that for only the second time in my career, my guests have to walk down. And then he began this rant about how there was no God. There was only sex. There was on and on. Just this verse in vivid technicolor. These Gita is not just caricature. People think this way. And then we'll read Etam Vishnavashtavya Nashtatmano Bhutaya Prabhavanti Ugrakramana Jayaadvaita. With these demonic ideas, ethics becomes totally relative. Any moral code is just whatever you make it to be, whatever we decide on. And what really takes precedence is greed and lust and anger. What is that? Shanti, Shro, Ham, Bogi, Sito, Ham, Balavan, Sati, Adyo, Janavan, Asmi, Konyosti, Sadrushum. I'm the richest person, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. Who else is there like me? I'll perform sacrifices. I'll do this, I'll do that, and I'll enjoy it again. In this way they're bewildered. They collect money by hook or by crook, and they think, I'm Prabhupada over it. I've gotten so much today, and tomorrow I'll get more about my plans and schemes, and watching their capital go up by exploiting ruthlessly. And then others get suffer. Cost of doing business. What is that? Prabhavanti Uber Karma. They're busy and nasty activities. Shayaya Jagato Ahita. Meant to create destruction and violence and pestilence in the world. Ahita, just as the saintly persons are trying to benefit everyone. The demonic do things, they create wars, they create needless, vicious, competitive industries, they manufacture viruses, they do all sorts of things. Simply for self-defense, for sense gratification, profit. Shayaya Jagato. For them, it's only a combination of matter that has produced living entities, and there's no question of the existence of the soul. As many living creatures come out from perspiration and from dead body with no cause, the whole living world has come out of the material combinations of the cosmic manifestation. My sister has a friend who's written a little book for children. Beautifully illustrated little book showing how the universe just pops into existence on its own. And then how by the laws of evolution, living beings just pop into existence on their own. And these ideas are taken as scientific, although they are lacking in genuine scientific basis. They do not believe in the words of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Under my direction, the whole material world. In other words, among demons, there's no perfect knowledge of the creation of the world. Every one of them has some particular theory of its own. According to them, one interpretation of the scripture is as good as another. They do not believe. They do not believe in a standard understanding of scriptural injunctions. So Lord Jagannath is not willing to dissolve his existence to meet their theory, for the sake of their theories. There is a supreme control. The world is not moving on its own. It's not popping into existence. It's nothing. Matter is not capable of self-organizing itself into intricate working universes full of living beings. Behind all this is the direction of the supreme controller, Jagadnath. He's overseer. Yes. Living and moving and non-living, non-moving beings are working under his direction. So this is this is the difference. Krishna consciousness. We know who is God. We know of his energies. We know so many things. They don't even know that there is God. They're so dull that their understanding is confined to the realm of matter only. By their own desire, because they don't want to reverse to the idea that there should be a supreme controller, because it would spoil their fun. The quoted Bengali proverb, the English proverb is, while the cat's away, the mice will play. So these mice or rats want to play, and so they want to imagine that the cat is out of station, or that there is no cat, or that every one of us is a cat. But the cat doesn't care what the mouse thinks. I was in New Vrindavan one time. It was summer, and we were sitting on the grass taking prasadam, touching devotees, and suddenly this mouse ran by, and behind the mouse, a cat. And the mouse was running this way, the mouse was running that way, the mouse ran this way, and the cat, finally the mouse was like, had his back against the wall. He stood up on his hind feet. And the cat. Just small. The cat is not mythological. They have a theory that this only seems to be a cat. So God is there, and behind the laws of nature, God's supervision is there. There are laws, and there are consequences by those laws. All of these things are there. And simply deny, no, there's no God. It's all happening automatically. It will not affect the situation at all, except to lower our own future. What is that? The envious and mischievous.
Tanaham Vishita.
Tanaham Vishita Krudan Samsadesh Shipana Chama Shipana Shri Ashwin Yoni Mahamad Namu Kaja Mam Kapya. The result of denying God, bad-mouthing God, violating God's laws, falsely claiming God's property to be our property, persecuting and oppressing, exploiting others for our own sense gratification. The result will be our own degradation. But they don't accept that. No. And besides, this life is everything. There's no Lord Jagannath is there, he's the supreme controller. That's the first thing. There must be a Lord of the universe. Just when we see that there's a house and it's built nicely and maintained nicely, the garden is tended very well, the fence is painted, it's understood there's someone in charge. Not that, oh, there must be a bad, there's no one in charge, or it must have died. So the universe is going on very nicely. My objection by Krishna's way, or God's way. First thing is there must be God. And if someone comes to that point that there must be God, then that's all right. If you accept that there's God, then we'll give you further information. We were discussing earlier that it's an offense to preach the glories of the Lord to the unfaithful. So first thing is that there must be God. Then he'll tell you more. We have so much more information. So Krishna consciousness movement is authentic and complete and reliable because it's following the knowledge, the words of Bhagavad Gita. So our job is to spread this knowledge for the benefit of others, since the demonic are spreading their false or untenable ideas and bluffing that this is science, this is what the data tells us, this is rational, and bluffing because it's not so. So as they're spreading their propaganda, we have to spread propaganda on behalf of Krishna. This is the work of the Krishna consciousness. And at the same time, we'll chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and we'll appreciate not only that there must be God, but what his name is, what his form is, what his qualities are, what his pastimes are. These things the devotees will enjoy, and we'll even enjoy talking about the demons and their wrong theories because Krishna is talking about these things. This was also included in our Bhagavad Gita's subject matter, demonology. All right, are there any questions, comments?
Shakuni Shape Goru Maran.
Shakuni Shape Goru Maran. Vultures.
Marana. Marana. Dead. You die. Marana.
Marana. Vultures cursing the cow. Yes.
So my question is, when I invite my friends to temple and they look at Gornika or the Shantanda, they can accept that is God. But when they see Lord Jagannath's form, and you're mentioning Lord Jagannath will dissolve his existence for my friends, for God, people, they don't really think that this figure with red eyes and big eyes can be God. I don't know how to explain it to them. I'm not sure how I speak approach that.
This is Krishna. So how do we explain? Our friends come, they accept Gurnitai, they accept Radha Krishna. When they see Lord Jagannath, they go, whoa. He looks like a doll. This is Krishna's pastime, to look like a doll. You know the history, how the sculptor was. So this is one of Krishna's pastimes, that he'll appear in this unusual form. Not only usual, but unusual. He can appear just like a very charming and attractive young man, or he can appear in this very unusual form as Lord Jagannath. So he does that. He appears in this unusual form. And the devotees recognize, oh, this is Krishna. Just as Krishna appeared one time as Varaha, as a boar. If you're having trouble with Lord Jagannath, what happens when you find out that God has appeared as a boar? Imagine if you had a boar on the altar, like a real lifelike sculpture of a boar, bristles and snout and hoofs. They said, well, this is our God. Whoa. But when the boar appeared from the nostril of Brahma, then he grew and grew and grew, and Brahma could understand, oh, this is Krishna. And you know how boars shake their bodies, and they've got that kind of bristle up their spine, and then they shake their bodies, then all the water from the muck goes on your cloth, and you go So Varahadev was shaking his body like that, and the water from his body was falling on the demigods and sages, and they were all feeling blessed, like the water from the Arctic. They were feeling, because they were in knowledge that although he's appearing to be something like the Lord, he's the Supreme Personality of God. So sometimes he takes the form of the boar, sometimes half lion, half man. He can take all of these very astonishing forms. A fish, a tortoise, Keshavadvita, Nadali, Keshavadvita, Meenashi, Jayaadvaita. This is Krishna, he does these wonderful. So this is part of his wonderful business to appear as Lord Jagannath. As it is called his mercy. And you can say that he's the deity from Orissa, but he's come here. That's also his best. He could have stayed in Puri. He had no need to go anywhere else. He's got a big temple, and people offer him food, what, 64 times a day?
56.
56? So many times that you can't imagine. You couldn't eat, like 4 times, 5 times, that's it. He's eating 56, 64, whatever the most is. So many times a day. It's said that his hands never become dry. So he had no need to come to America. If you've got a nice house and you've got nice food, then you're done. You don't have to go anyplace else. So Lord Jagannath, and people who just love you and want to do everything for you, you don't have to go anywhere else. Like Lord Jagannath came to him. And the Americans appreciate it. The Americans also, they blink their eyes, but then after a while they think, oh, it's so wonderful. So that spiritual vision comes by chanting Hare Krishna, by taking Jagannath Prasad. The first thing, you may have not accepted he's God, but you like the Prasad, right? By the mercy of Lord Jagannath, we're having this festival all over the world, where they're singing and there's dancing and there's wonderful floats and there's intoxicating prasadam. So we'll talk about what you believe later, but everyone loves a parade. Everyone loves good food. Everyone likes singing and dancing. So this is all happening because of Lord Jagannath. Therefore, it's said if someone just stands up to see the festival, he becomes purified of so many simple things. people are doing. London, Australia, Africa, Atlantic City. Atlantic City is not exactly the but people come out of their casinos or whatever, and they come for darshan and they follow the parade and they honor Jagannath the Son. So Lord Jagannath is very person. Bless. That's, people say that, God bless America. This may not have been what they had in mind. But you asked for it. God bless America. You've been singing and praying, so God is good. That's we're doing it. Yes.
Maharaj, the atheists are very strong. You know, the atheists are very strong
Atheists are very strong
in not accepting the Lord.
in not accepting the Lord. there's no reaction.
For them not to accept, is there any influence of their own karma?
Yeah, but they don't want to accept is because of their previous mentality and their previous sinful activities. The more they perform sinful activities, the less they can understand. So that it's not just simple ignorance, I didn't know. It's stubborn obstinance. We don't want there to get in our way. It'll change our whole picture. I won't be in the center. I'll just be a subordinate slave. They don't want it. They don't want to be servants. They want to be masters. So they become servants of their lust, servants of their greed, servants of their senses. The illusion is I'm master, that is servant. If not servant of Krishna, then servant.
Well, it's a practical distribution as a practitioner myself, not very strong, maybe how to deal with this kind of situations with it.
Well, if they're just go on to the next person. If you're determined, and if they're determined, no, I won't take this book. All right, have a good day. Go on to the next. That's ordinary sales advice, by the way. You're selling vacuum cleaners or anything. You know, you just knock on 100 doors and 1 or 2 doors you say yes. You don't care about the no's, you're interested in the yeses. So if someone's adamant, oh, fine. Have a good day. Go on to the next.
Let's coming to the point of analogy you gave.
What's the point of it?
Coming to the point of analogy you gave of cat and mouse.
Cat and mouse analogy.
Cat and mouse analogy, yes.
When the mouse thinks that cat doesn't exist.
Mouse thinks the cat doesn't exist, then
You said cat really doesn't bother about that.
cat doesn't care. If I'm the cat, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
I'm hungry, that's all. You could, whatever theory you want to have, fine with me.
Yes. So Krishna being the most merciful.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry for my.
Krishna is the most merciful.
Krishna is the most merciful, yes.
So how does this I don't care thing works in relationship to?
So maybe Krishna does, he's not the same as the cat, the I don't
Be
care.
merciful to them by reciprocating. If you want to be a rascal, then I'll treat you like a rascal. Just for God and for them. Don't let it get it wrong. That's Krishna's first preach. Someone, he's equal to everyone. You want to love me, I'll love you. You want to hate me, I'll smash you. No favorites, no enemies, according to what you want. Yes.
So, the example that you gave of the chance, the law of chance, the probability.
Yes.
So, why
Chance and probability.
right? So why is a statistic to say if given enough time? The
No.
probability.
No. There's no enough time. That's what they say, yes, there was a chance and enough time. But if chance doesn't cause anything, it won't cause anything no matter how much time you give it. It's more bluffing.
But I wasn't referring to, I was just starting that, and that was, I understood that point.
Okay.
Yeah, the scientists say that if given enough time, the probability of something happening, it hasn't happened yet, increases. That is the statistic.
Given enough time, the probability of something happening may increase.
Right.
That may be, but there's a cause.
Yeah, correct.
So you have to trace out that cause. You can't just say statistical probability, blah, blah, blah. There may be a statistical probability, but that probability doesn't cause anything.
Exactly.
So you have to find out the cause.
Exactly. So if a
It's a fact, given enough time, the chances are high, become higher, that one of these days it will rain. Given one day, chances may be pretty low. Given a year, chances are pretty good that it's going to rain sometime.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that the laws of chance cause the rain.
Absolutely. So for
That's their mistake. They think that all you need is time and the laws of chance, and boom, you'll get rain, or you'll get a universe, or you get living entities. No. The laws of chance and time together will give you nothing. They will not do anything. You need causes.
the scientist is based on his way of finding not the cause but how. But he's working on the how part, not the why part.
Fine, you work on the how, but there is no how. How means cause and effect. Work on it. But you're publishing your theory without having done the work. Living entities come from matter, but you haven't shown us the how. Show me the how. Bluffer. They don't have the how. So that's why they say, given the laws of chance and the statistical probabilities and sufficient amount of time, infinite amount of time, because they don't have a how, they have to mumble that stuff. That's our challenge. You do not have a how. Show me how life comes from matter. Or we will, but you haven't.
In that case, the scientist be honest with himself, agnostic, and say, since I haven't seen it, is that for him?
Yeah, Gnostic means knowledge. And agnostic means not having knowledge. That's your position here. That's better.
Yeah. Then being atheistic or completely anti.
Yeah. You don't know. That's better. But you're claiming to know, that means you're worse stressed. You don't know, so why not hear from us? We know. You're so proud of taking knowledge of Krishna. You give it your fair consideration, and then maybe you'll know. You can't be worse off than you are now, because now you don't know anything. You know something, but you don't know what ultimately matters. So why not take knowledge from Krishna? At least give it your fair consideration. You don't say you have to gladly accept it, but you give it your fair consideration. You read these books. We're scientists, we have scientific books, we have our Bhakti Vedanta Institute. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for being here. I have a question regarding the incarnations.
It has to be a loud question. A question regarding incarnation, all listed incarnations, yes.
Incarnations in the first canto, I think it's the third chapter. Buddha is mentioned, Kalki is mentioned, but Rama Mahaprabhu is not mentioned.
No.
And do you have any idea why that?
Why Gauranga Mahaprabhu is not mentioned? He's hidden. He's described as hidden. Therefore, the Lord is known as Tri Yuga, appearing in 3 yugas. Kali Yuga, he hides his identity. He hides his identity. In Kali Yuga, everyone wants to say, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presents himself as a devotee. So if you like, you can also follow. All right, I'm also a devotee. But the Goswamis have demonstrated Krishna Varnam, Krishna, Krishna Sankova, the guys are huge in their he's mentioned.
This is sort of off topic, but it's about like scientific theories. Is it possible to go to another planet?
Is it possible to go to another planet? In the Bhagavad Gita, in fact, Bhagavad wrote a whole book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. So you can go. Word comes, Yashtanti Sattvas, Vadye Jishtanti Vana, according to your consciousness, you can, if you want to go to the moon, you can go to the moon. You want to go to the sun, you want to go to Infraloka, you want to go whatever planet you can go.
But in this life, with this body?
Hmm?
In this life?
No. If you want to go to the sun, you have to change your body. You have to get a suitable body for the sun. And it's not just a question of environmental compliance. You have to have the necessary qualification of bias activities. When you come to America, you know, if you want to move here, you've got to have some qualification. And then you fill out all these forms and demonstrate this and demonstrate that. I had one British citizen who wanted to come and assist me, and the government refused because he wasn't a student and he wasn't working, so he had no money. So how do we know that he won't stay here? They refused. So when the American government is refusing so many people for lack of qualification, how tight the security will be on the movement.
I did read that Prophet said that going to the moon that happened previously was a hoax, right?
Prabhupada didn't accept that they've gone to the moon. No. Maybe it's a hoax, maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's they went to Rahu, maybe this, maybe that, but they didn't go to Chandraloka. That was Prabhupada's.
So did they know they didn't go, or were they?
That you have to ask them, and they may or may not tell you the truth. Do they know that they didn't go there? There are different speculations on that topic. I can't say what they, they hoaxed it, that they just missed the target. I know they spent a lot of money. And then, I mean, it's very strange. They spent, and I'm a product of that generation. When I grew up, when I was in school, John F. Kennedy was president, and that we were going to land a man on the moon in our lifetime was like the greatest thing on earth. And it was urgent too, because the Russians might get there first. So we spent how much money, I don't know. Enormous, because you had to design the rockets, you had to design the, everything, the spacesuits, the launchers, the capsule, everything had to be designed. And then you had to be manufactured. They had to build all this stuff. And then you had to have Cape Canaveral, now it's Cape Kennedy, you had to have the whole place. Then you had to have tracking systems all over the world and radar, huge investment. And then after we did it, we said, okay, been there, done that. Let's go to Mars. This is very, very strange. Among other reasons, those who are in manufacturing say if you want to manufacture a Samsung Galaxy 10, the cost of manufacturing one is huge. Because you have to do all the research, you have to do all the testing, you have to do all the this, that, and the other thing. Then you have to set up the manufacturing, all the fixed costs, pay all these salaries, and then you can manufacture one Galaxy 10. And what does it cost to manufacture the second Galaxy 10? The first one probably cost you $1.5 million. The second one cost you maybe $1.50. So they spend all this money on the infrastructure, research, on the manufacturing, on the real estate, on the equipment, on the plans to manufacture all these things. And they went once or twice and said, well, we did that. And just tossed it aside. And said going to the moon is too expensive. You spent all the money going there the first time or the second time. Why not just keep going and saying, reuse what you've already invested, the results of your investment. No, we're going to completely go to Mars. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
They do have like an international space station.
They do have an international space station, yes. And by the way, the videos of this greatest event in the history of mankind have been lost. Because NASA spaced out. They cannot find the original videos. And therefore, no one can reliably know. No one can examine it.
Since there are some like astronauts in the space stations, is that a different atmosphere because it's all?
Yeah, they can be on this. They can wander around. That they may be able to do.
Like can they wander around?
Just like the people who want to migrate to America, if they can't get in, then they can wander around wherever they want. They just can't come here. They want to float around in the Atlantic or the Pacific or what have you. Fine, float.
So Prabhupada said that there are entities on the moon that we cannot see, and scientists say that there's nothing on it.
There's nothing.
That's a mistake.
That's the extent of their knowledge, that there's nothing on the moon. It's all vacant.
So if the space could give the astronauts the ability to space or the lower orbit of the Earth, that atmosphere is different than a moon planet or a Mars planet.
Yeah, just like the Atlantic and the Pacific are different from New York.
Yeah.
You wanted to come to New York, they didn't let you in. Okay, stay there in the Atlantic. You can wander around wherever you want, just can't come here. Because they'll buy activities.
So if you had to go to the moon, to Mars, you had to be born.
You have to be born there, or you have to have some credentials. You have to have a passport, visa.
So that would be good karma.
Yeah, you have to have bias.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be very, very pious to go to these places. You can't. I went to the National, whatever it is, the Space Museum on the Mall in Washington, and you hear these cowboys basically say, "Yeah, it's really wild out there," and like they just had 3 deer or something. It doesn't work that way. Thank you. Great. Shall we stop here? There's a lot of lying and cheating going on.
It's very believable.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of well-paid, expert, super intelligent lying and cheating. Absolutely. The extent to which deception, lies, hoaxes, manipulation, and so on, the extent to which it goes is beyond our ability to and it's done to achieve, to consolidate power, to exploit, to profit at the expense of others. Others can suffer. The extent to which these things go on could be a very long seminar. Not today. We just take it from one of our teachers. This is just a little capsule summary. And from the summary of their character, you can understand there's nothing that they wouldn't do. For sense gratification, there's nothing that they do. All right. And what we'll do is chant Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ki Jai. Ki Jai. Hare Hare.
His Holiness Jayaadvaita Maharaj. Jai.
Have a good